This is what happens when you take a teeny tiny 1950s Land Rover and try one of the hardest obstacles on Hell's Revenge. Do it again. What do you think the odds are that Jesse's gonna make it?
Well, he's made it before in this vehicle with like 40 horsepower left in that tired engine. So we'll see.
All right,
We'll see.
let's do it. All right, here comes Jesse into Mickey's hot tub. Small accident on the way down.
Carbureted.
No longer has a clean Carfax, but
What do you think, Tim? Oh, it's pretty good to me. Pretty good.
that's crazy, man. All right, everybody, this is truly the best day at the office because not only am I off-road, but we're off-road in a vehicle you would never expect can do what it's about to do. So in today's video, I'm going to show you the magic of the plucky little Land Rover with this gentleman next to me. So I like to say there's a couple different types of guys on the trail. There's me, and then there's a man with massive balls. So Jesse, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Jesse Combs from Corvallis, Oregon.
And Jesse, what are we in?
We're in a 1953 Land Rover Series I 80, and the 80 refers to its wheelbase, so 80 inches, which was basically a copy of the military MV. The designer of Land Rover in the UK liked the Jeeps that he had there so much and was using them on his farm that he used that as his inspiration for the design of the Land Rover.
Unreal. So this is the origin, right? This is where the Land Rover story all began.
100%.
And not only does he wheel these things hard, but you actually build the parts to allow other folks in the community to keep doing that, right?
Yeah, so it's a hobby, it's a love and an interest, and it's just so fun to be outdoors, and that's been a lifelong love of mine. I've been an outdoors person forever, or for my forever anyway. And but what's hard is, you're breaking the same stuff, or you're having the same issues everybody else is having, and trying to have a hard time finding a good solution. So we started this company, Original Iron Off-Road, to support enthusiasts and to help build the components that will make them more durable and keep them as close to their stock form as possible. And that's a big deal. I mean, anybody, not necessarily anybody, but you can put, an axle swap under your truck. You could do Dana's 60s, let's say, but you're getting away from its original form. We think these things are just very capable and very fun in their original form, and we can make some modifications and upgrades that fit within that formula so that they're more usable off-road.
That's super cool. I mean, why I wanted to do this video is Jesse does some truly incredible things with what looks like a little plucky stock, slightly dented up, excuse me.
Yeah, it's gotten some hard use.
And what he's about to do, I would never do in a million years, but I want to hop out, Jesse, and I want to see if this is possible. So, 80-inch wheelbase, right?
80-inch wheelbase.
Which to me sounds like a recipe for rolling over.
It's pretty short.
And I've actually almost rolled a TJ Wrangler on this exact rock. The front end came off the ground. So here comes a nearly stock 1950s Land Rover. How is that possible? Here comes Tim and his. What the heck? That's unbelievable. How is that possible? So I've been on this trail a lot in my short nerdy years. I've seen massive built Wranglers try what you did. I almost rolled a TJ on that very obstacle, and this thing looks like it defies physics. So what is going on?
Okay, well, we don't want to give all our secrets. Just have to buy. No, I'm teasing. Basically, what's going on is it all starts at the tires.
We can keep going, man. Yeah. So walk me through what you got.
So the better tires you have, the better you're going to do. The spare tire up here is a Michelin XCL. It's a very good tire that's street and trail very good. They're not cheap, they're very good. But the tires that we put on it recently are the Nitto Trail Grapplers. They're actually a side-by-side tire, and they're like glue. They are markedly even better. So a good tire makes a big difference. Okay, well, what's the next thing? Air pressure. I run about 8 PSI on the trail, and if it's a very, very hard obstacle, I'll even go down to 4. So that's the first key, is you're gonna have to get really good hookup on the rock. Okay, vehicle specific, people tend to think that you need coilovers and coils and dislocation springs. I don't think so. Of course, there are applications where that's really ideal, like fast driving on rough roads. But for stability, leaf springs are actually amazing. Like very stable, very unlikely. I mean, anything can hop, but they're less inclined to hop. I mean, on that last obstacle, you can see there was very little hop for me. I think there was a little bit of tire spin. So the leaf springs are very good. One of the biggest things that's so important is overall vehicle weight. This vehicle weighs 34 pounds empty without me in it. That's pretty light on average. It's not light compared to a Jeep, but it's light on average. That's a big deal. You're pushing less weight up the hill. And then the biggest secret weapon that a Land Rover has is that it's nose heavy. That motor is a very heavy motor. It's a Rover 4-cylinder. This vehicle is mostly stock in that sense. Rover 4-cylinder, Rover transmission, Rover transfer case, Rover axles. But because we're heavy in the nose and light in the rear, once the front tires get on up, then the front is literally pulling the rear with it. And that's really why it's able to do that.
So, I mean, I think what's so fascinating about this to me is, I've done this trail tons of times. Oh, we have seatbelts, the luxury. Let's say you have a 1950s Land Rover or a 2025 Honda CR-V. Regardless of what you have, if you want to go take it off-road, you need Onyx Off-Road, the #1 app out there for trail navigation. You know exactly what you're getting into and where to go. Check out Onyx Off-Road using the link below. So I think what's so fascinating about this is, like I've done this trail tons of times and lifted 2-door Wranglers. And when you're trying to do something that's super steep with a lot of grip, things start to feel pretty gnarly pretty quickly.
Totally.
So I've always, I think probably wrongly preached now that for a lot of climbs, short wheelbase is a disadvantage, right? But this is totally proving me wrong because this is 80 inches.
Yeah.
So is that stability down to that weight distribution you're talking about?
Yeah, I think first of all, I'm not a suspension expert. I think there's other people who know more than me by a long shot. But vehicle dynamics is really what we're talking about. And what you want is low center of gravity, really good suspension stability, which is why dislocation springs can work against you. That's why too soft of a suspension can actually work against you. And you just want a stable platform. That's what's so important, whether it's uphill, side hill, what have you. So it's really more about those factors than it is necessarily wheel-based. But there are times where a longer wheelbase will help you, and so different obstacles will be better for different trucks. But in terms of, I see climbs in this truck that I don't see in other trucks as possible because this truck climbs so well.
We got all these guys down there in these hugely built out TJs and crazy rigs, tube frame stuff, and they're not trying it. And these plucky little Brits are going over and over and over. It's so funny. All right, so now Jesse's gonna go into the hole. That was nuts. Oh man! How many times do you have to roll over, man? What is your propensity for risk?
Well,
crazy.
for me, it's a learning opportunity. I clearly don't have the line figured out yet, so let's figure it out.
All right, Case, would you do that in your rig?
I don't know if I would do it on foot.
Well, I tried. And everybody got a shot of that, all those people.
Yeah, they all got to see Tommy try to walk up.
That's awesome, that's great for the image. But now, Jesse's gonna try coming down it. If up wasn't crazy enough, he's like, let's go down. Ugh. The pit in my stomach just watching this right now is nuts. Wow.
Made it look easy.
That was crazy. Was that a first in this thing?
I think I'm better at going down than up there.
That was crazy.
Second time, the first time I squared up to that thing too much and kind of got pinned a little. This time I tried to edge to one side.
Oh, that was unreal. If you guys have ever seen like any of those toughest four-letter word on wheels try to go up that compared to this, that was unbelievable.
Thanks,
Good
brother.
job, dude.
Appreciate it. Yeah, with the carburation too.
I know. So this rock is now the height of the rig. Dude, that's crazy. Seriously, like I've never felt a vehicle that feels more like it's breaking physics.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk me through the mods on this that it's different than stock. It's not that built, right?
It's not that built. So this came originally with a 2-liter 4-cylinder motor, but if Land Rover is known for anything, it's being underpowered. So basically my goal in this truck was as stock as possible, as capable as possible. So we tried to balance that out, which means I didn't want to put a modern motor in it if I could. And I want to be able to drive it to the trails. For example, I drove this all the way from Oregon, 1,000 miles, no trailer.
Unreal.
So the 2-liter and 2 1/4 Land Rover 4-cylinders have 3 main bearings, like the old Go Devil does. And if you drive those at highway speeds long enough, then you get crank whip and it damages the motor. So we went with the 2.5-liter Rover 4-cylinder, gets a little more horsepower, a whopping 63 new, still not much, and it has 5 main bearings, so it'll sustain the highway speeds better. It's got the stock Rover, it's got the stock carburation still, stock Rover transmission, stock Rover transfer case, stock Rover drive shafts, and stock Rover springs, leaf springs, and stock Rover axles, but the internals have been upgraded to 32 spline. So it's pretty darn close to stock.
So when you say highway speeds, like we have a 45 wheelies MB.
Yeah.
And that thing will do like at altitude 45, 50, it's pretty wrung out.
Yeah, 45, yeah.
Yeah, so what are you seeing in this?
Well, so this motor's pretty tired now. I've been working it pretty hard for a couple of years, and it was used when I got it and put it in. So right now, at flat highway speeds with no wind helping or hurting me, 62 to 65.
Okay.
Up hills, how do you like 30 to 35 miles an hour? It's a little bit tough. But we're gonna freshen it up this winter, and we may make some modifications to the head to get some more horsepower out of it. So it's sustained, it's manageable, but it's not fast.
Okay, it's not fast.
So on the road, you're not fast, but on the trail, it gives it back to you in spades.
But I think like this is a very in-depth baseball comparison, but if you compare to like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, compared to a CJ2A,
yeah,
on a flat surface, it's quicker.
Oh yeah, the Go Devil is an amazing motor with great torque, and it's off the line faster. It's also a lighter vehicle, like it does about 2,500 pounds. So yeah, for spunkiness, it's hard to beat the CJ2A for sure.
So Hell's Revenge is an interesting trail because there's a lot of lines you can do. There's lines that aren't so bad for a fair number of stock off-road vehicles, and then there's the Jesse lines, which he's doing in this 80-year-old Land Rover. But you've done some truly exceptional things, way beyond what we're going to see today. So like, walk us through where this little rig has been.
Yeah. So okay, hard to remember. This truck has done well. First of all, we just finished 8 days of hard wheeling in the Sierra Nevada. So we did. Golly, what did we do? We did Niagara Rim Trail, Slick Rock Road Trail, Strawberry Pass, Deer Valley Pass, Barrett Lake, Fordyce, Hellhole, and Rubicon, including Old Sluice, which is extremely difficult. And this truck did Soup Bowl, all in an 8 8-day period, all without needing a wrench once. And that's one of the things that's really important to us is we want our trucks for reliability and durability. So we work hard to put the components in and put them together in a way that you're not breaking. So it's done that stuff. It's done escalator up and down. It's done Hell's Gate. It's done Mickey's Hot Tub. It's done a lot of hard lines at Winter Jamboree.
You guys did Pritchett yesterday, right?
We did Pritchett yesterday. This truck has been through Coyote Canyon twice. It's done Rusty Nail and Cliffhanger. Essentially, this truck has done anything I pointed it at, except its one nemesis would be big boulder gardens, because it's on a 33-inch tire right now. The street tires are 32, and big boulder gardens are hard for it for clearance.
Now,
and it doesn't have the greatest gearing. It's only 60-to-1 right now, so it doesn't have a true crawl ratio yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, to put that in perspective, this 1950 Land Rover, I keep coming back to that, that's more or less stock, is doing trails at like Onyx Off-Road 8, 9, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking trails that are recommended 37, 40 or above inch tires, full walkers front and rear.
Yeah,
right?
there's some lines this has done that they consider buggy lines.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Now, you know, like walk me through the driving experience in this little rig. So we've got a number of levers down here.
Yeah.
And a gauge cluster that looks pretty similar to my Model T.
Yeah.
So what does everything do in here?
Well, so one of my goals in building this is, and sort of keeping as stock as possible, is that somebody from 1950 could get in here and recognize everything. So it does have front and rear air lockers, but I've hidden those switches down here by the parking brake.
Okay.
And I put nothing up here that's modern. And that's how I want to keep it. We have a dual oil pressure and water temp gauge, which is not connected right now. We have gas and a marginally successful speedometer and odometer. This is the light switch for the dash lights. These are winch controls for a Bellevue winch. This light lets you know the ignition's on. This light lets you know that your high beams are on.
That's crazy.
And that's about all you get. And it didn't even come with this one. Originally, this is something you could do later, but basically, if you saw steam or you were supposed to check oil every time you put gas in it, which I do anyway.
Yeah.
But there were no real gauges to sort of tell you how everything's doing.
So this is it a 3-speed or a 4-speed?
It's a 4-speed.
Oh, so pretty advanced compared to what Jeep was doing.
Yeah. But similar in the sense that the first is not synchro and second isn't either. So you double clutch second, third and fourth are synchro.
And then I notice here,
and an overdrive.
So you probably have low range and then axle in and out. Is that right?
Yeah.
These
so as you lift up on this in high range, you get 4-wheel high.
Okay.
If you forward on this is 2-wheel drive, and if you pull back on this, you get 4-wheel low.
Okay. And then you got your overdrive.
And the overdrive, which lets me get about 8 or 10 miles an hour faster on the highway driving.
So even back in the 50s, this is a pretty fundamental difference. Like this is a full-time 4-wheel drive setup.
100%.
Right.
Yeah, which Land Rover was forever. The Land Rover was based on a full-time 4-wheel drive, which this was.
There's no front axle disconnect. It's always in 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, unless you put hubs, yeah.
Okay.
And one thing that's interesting is that if you look at some of the DNA and the frame and the measurements, there you can see the direct connection between the Land Rover Series 180, Series 1 86-inch, Series 1 88-inch, Series 2 88-inch, Series 2 109, Defender 90, Defender 110, Discovery, Range Rover Classic, and Discovery 2 all share the same characteristics. You can see that DNA all through all those models.
So, from 1948 through all of the series, let's just stop at 3.
Yeah.
Which one is your favorite? I would assume it's the early stuff, right?
Oh yeah, right. And do I have a good reason for that? No, other than it's always fun to go back in time.
Okay.
They're all great for different reasons.
Okay, I like that.
Although the original Series 1, like 80-inch, the original designs had much beefier aspects to them regarding the axles and some other things. And Tim Cooper would be able to describe that better than me. And as time went on, I think for cost-cutting measures or whatever, they've dialed back on some of that stuff. So for strength, it's really hard to go wrong with a Series 1.
Okay, gotcha. And then, what are the values doing on these? Like, if someone watches this and gets inspired, as you freaking should, like, how do you find these early Land Rovers? Because I don't imagine there's a lot of them out there. And what do they typically fetch?
There's not a lot. It's good to be sort of in the know. We're talking to people and kind of get connected like you do with any group, right? I mean, I think you can find, and it's just not cheap, you can find these clapped out for maybe 5 or 8.
Okay.
You can find them in pretty good condition for under 20, and you can find them in good condition for 30 and under, probably, is a fair guess.
Okay. And Jesse, like, how many people are in this community? Is it pretty big or is it pretty small?
I mean, compared to Jeep, it's pretty small, but it's certainly, I would say, medium, and it's certainly big enough for anybody's lifetime. If you're into it and you want to connect, you won't have a hard time connecting and finding enthusiasts and, you know, being a part of a community.
And if folks want to follow you online and learn more, where do they go?
Well, you know, I do some things well and some things not as well. I'm not as good at the social media and online stuff. We do have a nice Instagram page that Todd Stewart helps me with, and so that's really good. And then we have a really nice website that Jeff Rogers helps me with. So we do have that presence. We're not on Facebook or the other stuff right now.
Fair enough.
I need some help if anybody is good and wants to help.
Well, check out Original Iron, and Jesse, dude, thank you.
Yeah,
this
pleasure.
was such a treat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch you do some crazy stuff now, because that's just the raddest thing I think I've seen all year.
Right on.
This is crazy.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Unbelievable. You guys believe that's basically stock? That's not tilted. You know, some people are probably thinking, stop tilting the camera. Folks, that's a tree. That's how steep this is. Unbelievable. So very rarely do I have a chance to sit down with someone I consider an expert in a craft, but the guy next to me, Tim, is an expert at these old series Land Rovers. Would you agree, Tim?
Well, it depends on your definition of expert.
If you look at like much of the African continent, the Australian continent, right, so many of the first wheeled vehicles were Land Rovers, right? How come, and especially like if you look at Australia, why did Toyota surpass in such a big way the Land Rover world?
Toyota was not arrogant like Rover was. Rover was so strong and so successful in its early years that they never improved the product to any great degree as far as improving its power and reliability, whereas Toyota committed themselves to fixing mistakes and improving the product. If you compare a very early Land Cruiser, like late 50s, like a 58 FJ25 to this car was miles ahead in terms of gearing. It had a stronger chassis. The Land Cruiser from the start had a better engine, absolutely no contest. Toyota got it right with the engine from the start. And that was a big thing, because the Toyota had adequate power. The Rover became underpowered. So Toyota, and I really enjoy Toyotas. I like especially their older products, like 90s and earlier stuff. And Toyota made a commitment very early on to just continuous product improvement. And Rover died as a company in the 60s. The company basically sold out to a newly formed conglomerate called British Leyland, and that was the end of the old Rover company. So from that point on, it was no longer a family type of company. It was no longer the same company, and you can really see a drop in the quality of the vehicles, and they stopped developing them.
Oh, that was so cool. It's unreal seeing what these little things can do. So if you guys want to find out more, check out Original Iron on Instagram.
Yep.
And a huge thank you to Jesse and Tim for making this possible.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to me, the contact information is on the website.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.